Attention passionate Seattle, SEAHAWKS fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC West and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Seattle Seahawks' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Seattle Seahawks fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Seattle, SEAHAWKS fans. Let's get to the news now, guys. What I'm about to tell you is really shaking up the entire NFL landscape, especially here in the NFC West. And if you're a Seahawks fan, you know how important every move, every decision can be in shaping your team's future. Today, we're talking about a potential blockbuster trade that could have huge repercussions for both the Seahawks and the Raiders. It's something that's been buzzing behind the scenes, and now the whispers are growing louder. We're talking about the Seahawks potentially trading one of their key defensive players, Rick Woolen, to the Raiders. And let me tell you, this isn't just a small move, it's a calculated chess move that could redefine the division. So here's the scoop. According to some reliable sources close to the league, the Seahawks are in talks to send Rick Woolen, the Pro Bowl cornerback from 2022, to the Raiders in exchange for a third-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Now Woolen, for those of you who may not be fully up to date, is a speedster at cornerback, known for his elite speed, clocking around 22.3 miles per hour, and his impressive coverage skills. His PFF coverage grade last season was an outstanding 87.6, and he's accumulated 142 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 28 pass deflections over 38 career games. That's no small feat. Woolen's impact on the field has been undeniable, especially considering his ability to shut down deep routes and his overall man coverage, where he's been rated with a PFF score of 82.1 in 2025. But as always, nothing is simple in the NFL. There are complications. Woolen recently suffered a concussion in Week 5, and his status remains uncertain. Concussions are serious, and teams have to weigh the risks of losing a player like Woolen for an extended period. Plus, he's had some injury issues before, including a knee injury in 2024 that caused him to miss a game. But overall, he's been remarkably durable, playing in about 80% of the Seahawks' snaps. His speed, which is truly elite, makes him a perfect fit for a team looking to upgrade its secondary, especially a team like the Raiders, who are in the middle of a rebuild and desperately need a boost in their pass defense. Now, let's put this in context. The Seahawks are currently sitting at 3-2, which is a solid record, but they're also building for the future. One of their biggest priorities right now is shoring up the offensive line, especially in terms of protecting Geno Smith, who's been under pressure a lot this season. Seattle is allowing about 4-5 sacks per game, which is a concern when you consider how vital a strong pass protection is for their offense to succeed. Drafting and developing young talent for the offensive line has been a focus, and acquiring draft capital through this trade could help them target a right guard or other OL prospects that fit their rebuild plan. On the other hand, the Raiders are sitting at 1-4, and their pass defense has been leaking points, allowing around 26 points per game. They're in desperate need of defensive help, especially in the secondary. Woolen's velocity, coverage ability, and youth make him a perfect fit for their rebuild. Imagine Woolen paired with someone like Max Crosby. This could transform their pass rush and coverage efficiency. Woolen's stats are impressive. His EPA per target stands at -0.37, and he's allowed an average of 7.9 yards per reception, which puts him in the top 15 among cornerbacks. His deep coverage, rated at 89.1, is particularly notable, and he excels in zone coverage with PFF grades over 86. This kind of upgrade could really turn around the Raiders' defense, making them more competitive in what's been a tough start to the season. Now, some skeptics might wonder about the value of trading Woolen, especially considering his age, potential, and recent injury. But the Raiders see this as a step toward contention, and Woolen's speed and coverage skills, combined with his ability to make plays, are exactly what they need to rebuild their secondary. They're also banking on his ability to elevate the entire pass defense, which has been struggling this season. Plus, with the move, the Seahawks are gaining draft capital that can be used to address their offensive line issues or other positional needs. This is a classic example of teams prioritizing different priorities, the Seahawks focusing on their offensive future, and the Raiders aiming for a quick rebuild on defense. And speaking of the bigger picture, this trade could have ripple effects beyond just these two teams. For the Seahawks, losing Woolen might sting in the short term, but if they use the draft picks wisely, they could bolster their offensive line with young, talented players, someone who can protect Geno Smith better and give him more time to distribute the ball effectively. Seattle's offense has been decent, but their sacks allowed are a real concern. Improving the protection could open up more opportunities for DK Metcalf, who's been a bright spot this season, and other offensive weapons. Meanwhile, for the Raiders, acquiring Woolen isn't just about immediate improvement, it's about laying a foundation for a future that could see them competing again in the AFC. Their defense needs a boost, especially considering their struggles in coverage. Woolen's ability to cover deep and his overall coverage grade suggest he could be a cornerstone player for their secondary for years to come. His speed makes him a matchup nightmare for receivers, and his ability to read routes and make plays on the ball could translate into more turnovers and less yardage allowed. Now, let's talk about the odds and the bigger betting picture. The Raiders' Super Bowl odds have been long, around plus 25-0 at the start of the season. But with this move, those odds are expected to short significantly, possibly to around plus 12-0. The Seahawks, on the other hand, remain one of the more respected teams in the NFC, with Super Bowl odds around plus 2,500. But interestingly, if they manage to make this move and improve their offensive line, they could be more of a contender in the playoffs. The move also impacts their chances in the AFC West, especially considering the possibility of facing teams like the Chiefs. An upgrade in their secondary or pass rush could give them an edge in critical matchups, especially in high-stakes playoff scenarios. And let's not forget the X factor here. Woolen's addition to the Raiders could be a catalyst for a playoff run, especially with their schedule softening up a bit in the second half of the season. Their projected wins could go up by around 9 if Woolen's impact is as significant as some believe. The secondary transformation, with Woolen's speed and coverage, could turn the Raiders into a more formidable opponent, especially in close games where turnovers and big plays decide the outcome. Now, coming back to the Seahawks, this trade signals a shift in their long-term strategy. They're clearly prioritizing their offensive line and protecting Geno Smith, who's been a decent quarterback but needs better protection to truly take the next step. Building through the draft and acquiring future assets shows that Seattle is looking ahead, planning for sustained success rather than just short-term wins. It also opens the door for young players to step up, and maybe even for new draft picks to develop into key starters. But make no mistake, this isn't just a move for the future, it's also about the present. Woolen's ability to lock down a side of the field could have kept the Seahawks competitive, especially against top-tier offenses in the league. Losing a player like Woolen, even with his injury concerns, is a blow, but it's a calculated risk. The Seahawks are betting on their draft capital and their ability to develop talent to fill that gap, while also focusing on shoring up their offensive line to give Geno Smith more time and protection. So, as this all unfolds, it's fascinating to see how these moves will shape the division and the league as a whole. Both teams are making strategic decisions, Seattle to build for the future, especially on offense, and the Raiders to capitalize on their rebuilding phase with a young, talented cornerback who can make an immediate impact. It's a chess match, and the stakes couldn't be higher. For Seahawks fans, it's a bittersweet moment. Losing a talented player like Woolen hurts, but if the draft picks land well, the future could be even brighter. And for Raiders fans, it's excitement. Adding Woolen to their secondary might just be the spark they need to climb out of the basement and become contenders. And now, Seattle Seahawks fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this potential move? Do you think Woolen's injury concerns outweigh his talent and potential? Are you confident in the Seahawks' plan to rebuild their offensive line with the draft capital they're gathering? Or do you see this as a risky move that could backfire? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Seahawks community. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Seattle Seahawks news. We're in this together, and I can't wait to see how this story develops. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Hawks!